Hi, my name is Whitney, and I'd like to talk about the misuse of the medical field and its effects on the human population. Western medicine has many essential life-saving benefits, especially in acute scenarios. But it sometimes creates and prolongs dependency on medication and medical procedures that lead to new and more chronic medical conditions. The medical field is a complex field because it encompasses both kind-hearted professionals who genuinely want to save lives, and also major money-making corporations that profit off of the dependency on their products and have no real regard for human life. Eastern medicine focuses on treating the body as a whole in order to stop disease and prevent its reoccurrence. Western medicine aims to identify symptoms, reach diagnosis, and prescribe medications and surgeries to treat the symptoms based on the diagnosis. I personally respect both Eastern and Western medicine because I think they can both achieve outcomes in different scenarios that the other cannot. However, what I do not respect are the selfish minds behind Western medicine that are manipulating it for use against the population. Many people trust their doctors more than they trust anyone. It's hard to grasp that a doctor would ever recommend anything harmful. This idea just does not make sense. Doctors study for many years to learn a career that is intended to support, repair, and optimize the health status of people. But what people need to look at in order to understand how a doctor can prescribe something harmful is who is participating in drafting the Western medical curriculum. In most cases, there are many aspects in which you can trust your doctor. Many aspects of Western medical training are credible and beneficial, but the curriculum is laced with ideology that was largely influenced by eugenicists. What is eugenics? Here is the definition of eugenics according to Wikipedia. This same article in Wikipedia also states the following. While eugenic principles have been practiced as early as ancient Greece, the contemporary history of eugenics began in the late 19th century when a popular eugenics movement emerged in the United Kingdom and then spread to many countries, including the United States, Canada, Australia, and most European countries. In this period, people from across the political spectrum espoused eugenic ideas. Consequently, many countries adopted eugenic principles, intended to improve the quality of their population's genetic stock. Such programs included both positive measures, such as encouraging individuals deemed particularly fit to reproduce, and negative measures, such as marriage prohibitions and forced sterilization of people deemed unfit for reproduction. Those deemed unfit to reproduce often included people with mental or physical disabilities, people who scored in the low ranges on different IQ tests, criminals and deviants, and members of disfavored minority groups. The eugenics movement became associated with Nazi Germany and the Holocaust. When the defense of many of the defendants at the Nuremberg trials of 1945 to 1946 attempted to justify their human rights abuses by claiming there was little difference between the Nazi eugenics program and the US eugenics programs. In the decades following World War II, with more emphasis on human rights, many countries began to abandon eugenics policies, although some Western countries, the United States, Canada, and Sweden among them, continued to carry out forced sterilizations. Since the 1980s and 1990s, with new assisted reproductive technology, procedures available such as gestational surrogacy, pre-implantation genetic diagnosis, and cytoplasmic transfer, concern has grown about the possible revival of a more potent form of eugenics after decades of promoting human rights. So basically, eugenics is a more poetic term referring to people who believe that they are superior and thus inhibiting the ability of other types of people that they believe are inferior to them to survive and thrive using biological weapons. I would encourage you to read articles on eugenics and research the individuals involved in eugenics, as well as their influence on the Western medical curriculum. Eugenicists exist all over the world, in many countries, but it's hard to talk about eugenics without mentioning some of the influential doctors who conducted their research on the victims of the Holocaust. Josef Mengele, Biological Destruction of the Human Being Through Eugenics, Lethal Injection. Karl Klauberg, Mass Sterilization of Women in the Quickest Amount of Time Possible Using Chemical Irritants. Horst Schumann, Human Sterilization via X-ray Technology. Emil Kaschub, Spreading Infectious Disease by Means of Injection. Just to name a few. Anyone who believes that they are superior to others and that they have the right to genetically alter other human beings against their own understanding and will, in order to inhibit the ability of those people to reproduce and perform natural functions, can be considered a eugenicist. Eugenics has become more about reducing the population as a whole to a more controllable level than it is about targeting specific races, though this type of eugenics still exists. Eugenicists have managed to convince many people that the world is overpopulated. However, let's put the world's population into perspective. This is Australia. The entire world population could fit in Australia, and with approximately a quarter acre of land per person. Though this would not be ideal or functional in terms of resource management, it is a good analogy to consider the size of the world population compared to the amount of inhabitable land on the earth. The problem is not the size of the population. The problem is how the population is being managed by egoists with God complexes who play chess with the world's population. Though the population itself has increased over time, the population growth rate has been reduced by half, due to both fertility issues as a result of chemical poisoning and fear of having children. Population decline is advantageous to the New World Order, which allows the emergence of a central government, developing an automated world that can be turned off and on at the flip of a switch, as most roles are replaced by artificial intelligence, implementing universal income for the jobs that remain to prevent differing levels of financial power among people, universal digital currency that can be made inaccessible for those who choose not to obey, further streamlining and limiting available education, eradicating the belief in God and replacing it with uniformed authority, as belief in God gives people hope, belief in eternal life, and peace beyond understanding, which makes them more difficult to control by fear. Population decline has serious negative effects on humanity. There are less people to fight for human rights, less people to help those in need, less people to contribute new ideas, less consumers to buy the products of local businesses, and less taxpayers to fund improvements in infrastructure, healthcare, and fund retirement. It is important for people to have children. The New World Order is the end goal of the globalist elite. A globalist is a fancy term for a eugenicist who supports one world government. The word globalist is designed to make people think that it is in support of the betterment of the world, but it actually means global domination. So let's say you're a globalist. What is the best way to reduce the population? Well, it's to create a disease and get people to beg you for the cure. Because then you do not need to try by force. You can sit back in a chair and sip your coffee while people beg for their own death. You can create an injection, put whatever you want in it, and people will take it over and over and over without ever asking any questions. When you create, plant, and publicize a disease, and then create fear around the spread of the disease, this indirectly gives you the authority to create and impose a quote-unquote cure. For example, by injecting substances into the bloodstreams of individuals. This essentially allows you to orchestrate a mass, slow-kill holocaust. Why people are more afraid of not knowing what is being injected into their blood than they are of the disease itself is beyond my understanding. For anyone who wants to argue that viruses come from nature, understand that it is not possible for a virus to result from nature. A virus does not have living material like bacteria, plants, and humans. A virus is a program inserted into a capsule with protein heads that allow it to attach itself and invade the cell of an organism, where it then replicates its own coding over and over again using the ribonucleic acid inside the cell of the host. Viruses do not have cells themselves. They do not have any living material. Only living material can result from nature. This is common sense. Why do people believe that viruses are naturally occurring? Because it is written in the very same textbooks that teach children that they evolved from apes, which, by the way, is not genetically possible. And who approved the curriculum in schools? And why do teachers get fired if they teach anything that is not written in textbooks? I will let you figure that one out on your own. The question that I am more concerned with is why parents do not care. This has been my attempt to explain to you why you should take Western medicine with a grain of salt and be careful what you allow someone to put into your body. When you decide to take an injection, you're not only affecting yourself, you're providing a gateway for dangerous chemicals to enter into and alter the population. This is not an unprovable conspiracy. It is the truth that there are people running and influencing the world who do not have the best interest of the population in mind. Thank you, and God bless you.